Here's the fire making area then for cooking, and you'll see we've got some wood already cut. We've got my Kelly Kettle and the Kelly Kettle fire base. This is the Kelly Kettle base camp version, which is 1.6 litres of water we can boil in here, and for me I think that's a perfect size, 1.6 litres. Usually on a bushcraft camp, if I'm doing a wild camp with my mates, there's usually 3 or 4 of us, and we can make tea for everyone every time with the one Kelly Kettle boil. So I think it's much better than just only being able to boil up 1 cup at a time. This is my Gransfors axe. I've had that a couple of years. That's the cover that goes on it usually. And the way I chop up wood is we start off with this, splitting it down, and we get sort of smaller and smaller. And then I just split each of these down using either the axe or my Gerber knife. So you can baton down as well, so we can start getting down to more kind of thinner pieces like this, just to increase the surface area of your wood. And it's real nice and dry once you get inside it and split it down. So this is already split down, and I like to put them in size order. These are slightly smaller bits that I can sort of build up, and they burn real nice and fast. You'll see here as well, this is some curls, a feather stick you make. I've made some of those today. And the other thing I use, this is just another piece of wood that I axed off nice and flat, so I can do things like my waxed twine, which is a great sort of like way of feeding the fire into the hole, which we'll do in a minute. We'll make a cup of tea. It's just a way of getting the fire in there. So what I tend to do is I'll use my Ferrocerium rod to ignite the waxed twine, yeah. And usually I'll use my Opinel knife, and the back part of this knife is really sharp, which is perfect for striking the Ferrocerium rod or fire steel. But the Gerber knife, folding knife, is my favourite bushcraft knife. This is my trusty go-to. It's always with me in my pack. And so what I like about it is these serrations make it really nice to get these kind of curls. You get some real nice fine curls, which is great for tinder, as well as the nice blade as well. And it's very solid on the top, so for batoning, you know, we can have a big old chunky piece of wood like this, hit it down with the back of the axe or a piece of wood, and we can start batoning them down into smaller pieces. This is what we've got so far in the Kelly Kettle base. So what happens is the Kelly Kettle sits on the top here, yeah, and the fire goes up the middle. This is the chimney, so the water's held around that rim area, which means that it's super efficient with the wind, with the air coming up. It feeds in the bottom through the air hole straight up, the flame goes up, and it heats the entire casing of the Kelly Kettle all the way around, therefore making it heat up extremely quickly. If we look up inside, you can see it's just a hole all the way in. The top here, the stopper, is usually an orange stopper, which is, I've still kept that for travelling around with water in it, but this is the whistle stopper, which is great. So you can know when your tea or coffee is ready. I've also removed the chain, because when you're travelling around, the chain just clanks around. It's not very stealthy. This is supposed to be stealth camp. So this is just some silicone, which I attached onto here, and the length of it means you can just wrap it around there when you're pouring it up, so that your bung isn't going to get dirty on the ground. And I've also just given the handle a bit of a coating of linseed oil, just to protect it from the elements a bit better. But my best friend in bushcraft camp of all time is my Kelly Kettle. What you also want to make sure you do is just to protect the ground with your stones, like I've done there, nice and sturdy as well, so that you make sure you're not going to create any root fires in the forest and things like that. So you have to be aware of, right, because the fire can actually go down into roots that are underground and fires underground, so you'll be aware of that. So this is pretty much how this is all I need really, and again all this fits in my main bug out bag, and this is what I roll with. We'll use the flint steel fire strike, we'll light the wax twine, and we'll get the fire going, ready for a cup of tea. So first things first is to make sure you've got everything ready. Now this is the fire I've built in the fire base for the Kelly Kettle. So I've started off with some curls, which you can make with your knife. You start off with some curls, some really nice lightweight tinder, and then I just build like a pyramid up of some nice thin pieces to build up around, you know, like a pyramid, so we end up like that. And we want to make sure before you start lighting any fires that you've got all your wood ready, you know, and your bigger bits to go in once the fire's going. So to light this wax twine, which I like, it just acts as a nice candle almost to sort of feed the fire into where you want it. So we're going to use the Ferrocerium rod to do that, along with my Opinel knife. So Ferrocerium rod, I've just put some cub cord around this. I buy the ones that have got the hole in them, so you can put a little tie on it. And I'm going to use the Opinel knife because I really like this back edge for strike. So what I'm going to first do though is I'm going to actually build up some material, yeah, onto the end of that wax twine. So we're going to be really careful not to actually ignite it, but we're just building up some pieces onto the end of that wax twine. And when we're ready, don't push your knife in, you want to pull your rod back. And bingo, we have our flame. Right, we pass that in through the hole there. We'll get it in right underneath. Just give it a little bit. What we'll do, we'll get it on the stones. Ready? And we want this hole, we want this air hole to be where the wind's ideally coming from. We get the Kelly Kettle on top, like so. The flame starts coming up the top straight away, and then what we can do is start feeding in some of these other pieces of wood. But it's important not to actually starve it. You don't want to starve it out with too much fuel, but you want to give it enough so it's got something to burn to get going. You can just use twigs off the ground if you want, and that's what I love about the Kelly Kettle, it's so efficient. And there we have it. The Kelly Kettle is boiling up the water, ready for us to have our cup of tea. So we'll leave that there, and that'll start coming to a boil. But in the meantime, we're going to get my tea ready. Now this is what you actually get with the ultimate base camp setup with the Kelly Kettle. So you get this hobo stove, so that can sit on the fire base, and then you can put what you want on that, little something to cook some eggs in or something like that, yeah. That's one of the options. You get two of these actually stainless steel plate bowls, which you can use as a saucepan as well. You also get, these are my bellows by the way, bellows, so you can blow into the fire and really get the fire going if you want some air. Some fairy liquid, some washing up liquid, a little titanium spoon, spork, a little mouth guard for the cup when it's hot, and I also have some cooking oil as well I keep in here. And this is the original bung, it's just a stopper, so there's no whistle or anything on that one, yeah. This comes with the Kelly Kettle, which is actually what you use, yeah. And it works on all of the bits and pieces, so you can use it. Oh, it's boiling! Quick! Yay! Congratulations! Our tea is well on the way now. So there you go. How quick was that? How quick was that? Hadn't even finished telling you about making the cup of tea. So let's get back to camp then. Wow, so the Kelly Kettle boiled the water much quicker than I thought it was going to, which is just evidence of how wonderful it is. So you can see all the bits and pieces that you get with the Kelly Kettle. You've got lots of options for cooking, frying, and you also get a griddle base, which I did my steak in last night, which I'll show you. Now this is the teacup that you get with the Kelly Kettle, which is a nice size as well. So we're going to set our tea up the way we like it. And again, like I say, I like to use sugar cubes, much more manageable. You don't have to worry about spooning sugar out. And of course, if you drop a couple, you can just pick them straight back up. And I'll use 2 tea bags in there. Got some coffee sachets as well. And then we have our flask of milk. Just a thermos flask with some milk in it. You can't beat cold milk. And we'll get that in there. And I like to use my titanium long spoon. That's about right. So let's get the water in. We'll fill her up here. And here we are. So we'll get our tea brewed and we can have a nice little chill out and relax. It's what you call a bit of a builder's brew, where you have 2 tea bags, but I have quite a bit of milk as well, so it's just strong on every level, and 4 sugar cubes. So this is my beautiful yummy cup of tea. I've got to say, there's something about having a cup of tea in the woods that you've made on your Kelly Kettle that is unbeatable in your stealth camp. Yeah, so what can I say? Cheers everybody. Cheers.